All right, everyone, we had some technical difficulties this morning, but I swear we're doing Locked On MLB.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Do not adjust your sets. This is Locked On MLB. Good morning, baseball fans, and welcome to a live stream of Locked On MLB that for a minute there looked like it was going to be a complete and total disaster. This is the podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and on Instagram. I am your pal Sully. For now, I'm at Sully Baseball on the aforementioned Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Those of you who were waiting for the feed to start, we're on right now. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time, and your pal Sully's on steroids. That's right. I'm still recovering from my big throat infection, but I'm taking steroids and I'm feeling a lot better, which once again bring PEDs back to baseball, and maybe we'll stop seeing all these injuries. Have it prescribed. Have a doctor there. These work. These work. If we can take Ozempic and Hims, this episode is not sponsored by Hims, but hey, if we can use Hims and use code Locked On, hims.com/locked on, then we can give a couple of things like this so Tyler Glasnow can pitch Game 4 of the World Series. All right. Speaking of that, sometimes when something is delayed, have you ever had a situation where you thought something already happened? Like a release of a movie. A movie has been promoted for so long. You think, oh, the film's out. Oh, it's not out yet? Oh, okay. I thought that film had already come out. I just assumed. I was like, oh, did I forget to do the show when they announced the MVP? And I felt kind of bad about that. And I said, wait, what day did they announce the MVP? They haven't announced the MVP. We know who the MVP is in the American League and the National League. That's pretty evident. Sorry, Mets fans, it's not Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor had a fabulous season. Fabulous. He's not the MVP. Sorry, Bobby Witt Jr. fans. Bobby Witt Jr. was wonderful. He was terrific this season and is a franchise player on a Kansas City team that is on the rise. We all know that Aaron Judge is going to win the MVP in the American League. We all know that Shohei Ohtani is going to win the MVP in the National League. Both of them had horrible World Series. Even the one game where Judge showed up and he got on base 4 times and hit a massive home run, nobody's going to remember that. They're going to remember clank off his glove. And Ohtani drove in as many runs in the World Series as I did. But he was hurt. The man was hurt. And the team won anyway. So it's not really going to, matter that he didn't have a particularly good World Series or that he was hurt in the World Series. If the Yankees had rallied, if 2 things had happened, if they did bring up Nestor Cortez to pitch in the first game, and they probably would have been in that situation if they let Cole pitch one more inning. And if they were able to hold on to a 5-run lead and knowing that the Dodgers pitching staff was gassed, the Yankees would have been up 3-2 in the World Series if those 2 things happened. And if that had gone through and the Yankees had won, no one would have remembered that Judge had a lousy series. And what people would have brought up the fact that Ohtani was hurt. He had one extra base hit and drove in no runs and had an OPS of 385. But he won. The team won. And the fact that he didn't have a great World Series, the team picked him up. He hit a home run in his first postseason game, but he actually didn't have a great series against San Diego either. He did have a very good series against the Mets. Lest we forget, Ohtani had a slash line of 364 batting. He had an on-base percentage of 548. You know, the old adage is that, a batter fails 2/3 of the time they come to the plate. That's not true. Ohtani succeeded more than he failed in the 6-game series against the Metropolitans. And by the way, he had an OPS in the league championship series of 1.185, homered twice, and he was very productive. And it just so happened that Tommy Edman had the moment of his life and got to be the NLCS MVP. But Ohtani has proven that he can be on the big stage. He homered in his first postseason game. He is going to win his this is his third MVP. His third MVP in 4 years. The 1 year he did win the MVP, arguably he was the MVP that year in 2020, which, by the way, in 2020 was not 2022, which, by the way, he finished second in the MVP vote and fourth in the Cy Young vote. That's when he had his most productive season as a pitcher. It only took 62 home runs from Aaron Judge to not have him be basically about to receive his fourth straight MVP, and he is joining the likes of Frank Robinson of winning the MVP in both leagues. It's going to happen. This will be Ohtani's 8th season in the major leagues, and he's going to be in his 30s. Now, of course, this is not his it's not his 8th season of professional baseball. He played many, many years in Japan, played for the Nippon Ham Fighters between 2013 and 2017, excelling as a hitter and excelling as a pitcher, combining the Japanese, and he's never played a day in the minor leagues in America. He has 225 home runs in the major leagues. He has only 48 home runs in the Japan League, but they don't play the 162-game seasons there. So he is combined for 273 homers. He's combined for 1,100 hits, and he's won 80 games altogether with an ERA of 2.76 when you combine his time in Japan and in America, both in Anaheim and now with Los Angeles. Now, because he spent those years in Japan, he's probably not going to hit some of the milestones that you would expect a Hall of Famer to get. And 3,000 hits are probably out of the realm of possibility. But he is going to be a cinch to get to 1,000 hits this year. He's an absolute cinch because he's sitting on 878 hits. So that's what 120. He's got to get 123 hits in 2025, and he'll be at 1,000 hits. He's at 225 homers. He'll get to 300 home runs sometime in 2026. He'll probably get 400. He'll have some Hall of Fame caliber home run totals just in America. But I was thinking about this. He's won the MVPs. He has shown that he can pitch in the major leagues in a high level. He's a Cy Young finalist a few years ago, and he can be a game changer offensively and a rule changer offensively. We've adjusted the DH rule for him. And I was thinking, what are the mountains that are left for Shohei Ohtani to climb to solidify his legend, solidify not just his Hall of Fame bid, but to make it so there's nothing left unwritten in his story? Kind of like when John Elway won those Super Bowls, his legend was then secure. There was nothing left for him to prove. When LeBron won in Cleveland, there was nothing left for LeBron to prove. There's still LeBron haters out there, but those people are called fools. When you have Hall of Famers who won World Series late in their career, like Wade Boggs, like Paul Molitor, like Dave Winfield, like Clayton Kershaw, basically nothing left to prove. Justin Verlander, nothing left to prove. You've played at the high level. And each one of those players that I mentioned had a big moment on the big stage. Lest we forget when the Dodgers won the COVID World Series, Clayton Kershaw was outstanding. Dave Winfield got the series clinching hit, or the go-ahead hit for Toronto. Molitor was the World Series MVP. All these things, they didn't just win, but they shone on the great stage. Now, we've seen that Ohtani has been an MVP. He's been a champion. He's been this, that, or the other thing. I really only think there are two things left that Ohtani has to do in his career to secure his legend. Right now, I think he's in Bo Jackson territory in a way that he is a player that sort of captured our imagination. There's almost a folklore to him, the way there was to Bo Jackson. Like, I can't believe this guy is playing at an all-star level in the NFL and Major League Baseball, and doing so with flair and with a sense of drama. Now, Ohtani is a better all-around hitter than Bo Jackson was. No offense to Bo Jackson, but he's at that point where he's like become a folk hero. So, what is he left to do? And remember, dear folks, that this year, when he won the World Series and is a cinch to be the MVP and became the first 50-50 player, this was his rehab season. This was his recovering from injury season. Now he's having shoulder surgery. Hopefully all will be well. But when he comes back, and when we come back, we can discuss the two mountains he has to climb to solidify his legend. Hey, let's hear from our friends over at Ibotta. Do you love the holidays, but you hate grocery shopping? Ibotta is making your Thanksgiving easier with cash back on everything you need to make your perfect holiday meal. So you can get the turkey and your favorite sides for free. This month, Ibotta is giving new users 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast. Just add the offers in the app to redeem for everything you need to make your Thanksgiving feast complete. All you have to do is shop at your favorite retailers and upload your receipt. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can get everything you need for the holidays as they're showing up. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you get real cash back that you can use to cash out for your bank account, PayPal, or for gift cards. You can also earn cash back on hundreds of online brands and retailers too when you start at Ibotta, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Download the Ibotta app and use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast starting November 1st. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app and use the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Ibotta in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB. And now let's hear from our good friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now you can bet $5. New customers bet $5, get $150 back in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the National Football League all in one place. So if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I'm glad to see some people in the live stream. Jonathan Shancup, am I saying your name right? Wants to weigh in on the mountains that Ohtani has to climb. And get ready, Jonathan, because I'm about to give you a forearm shiver. Shohei Ohtani needs to stop paying bookies, stop getting injured, and get a personality. The man's got no riz. Do I smell bitter Mets fan or bitter Yankee fan? It's one of the two. First of all, the bookie situation seems to be passed, and my hunch on that was wrong. And, hey, he seemed to do all right. Stop getting injured. Remember, this was his rehab year. He was recovering from an injury and went 50-50. Oh, I get it. You're a bitter Angels fan. Got it. Well, that makes sense. Get a personality? Sorry, Jonathan. 100% wrong. This guy has flair. This guy has pizzazz. And he has a cute dog that he brought on to deliver the ball. Sorry, you're bitter. I get it. And you had him, and you have a bad ownership. So, but I get it. And I have sympathy for you, Jonathan. And I'd like to see the Angels win. But what is the two things that Ohtani has to do? First things first. Obviously, besides piling up numbers, he has to come back and be a Cy Young caliber pitcher, or at least a really good number two. He has to come back and do it for a couple of years. It can't just be 1 year back. It can't, this can't be the injuries that he had this year can't be the situation where we look at his injury and ending his pitching the way we looked at Bo Jackson and the hip replacement ending his football career. We can't make this a what could have been. And that's the reason why I brought Bo Jackson up before. Because if Bo Jackson didn't blow his hip out, he would have continued playing for Kansas City or maybe Chicago. I don't know. Neither do you. By the way, he finished his career with the Angels. Most people don't remember that. And kept playing with the Raiders. And keep playing at the high level on both teams. The fact that was cut short added to his legend of what could have been. But we cannot have that with Ohtani. We can't. Also, he has to have the Ohtani game. The way that Freddie Freeman had the Freddie Freeman game, which was the Grand Slam, in case you're wondering. He has to have a postseason. He doesn't need to win another ring. He doesn't. He has his ring. He has to have a postseason moment to cement it. It doesn't even have to be him being the MVP of the series, although that would help. Barry Bonds never got a ring. He had his postseason moment, which were all those massive home runs he hit against the Angels. Ken Griffey Jr. did not win a World Series ring, but he had his moment, which was racing from first on the Edgar Martinez double. You need to have that moment. Roy Halladay never had a ring, but he had the Roy Halladay no-hitter. There has to be a game where, like, Ohtani hits three, but like Freeman with the walk-off grand slam, there has to be a moment, and because of who he is, it has to be a postseason win where he gets the big hit and strikes out of batters to win the game. Jonathan, you don't have to worry about writing the dumbest thing on our feed because Johnny T16 filled that out. Johnny T16, I love that you listen to us. I love that you're a big Star Wars fan with a T16 back home. You can't respect Ohtani. You lost me there. But you decide to grab a shovel and keep digging. Going to the Dodgers to win a championship is like sleeping with a stripper. Yeah, you got laid, but stop that nonsense. That's stupid, and you know it's stupid. He went to a team that wasn't – did they win the World Series the year before? Did they win the World Series the year before that? Between Kirk Gibson and Freddie Freeman, the Dodgers won one World Series. One. Now, I'm sorry. The whole thing, can't respect for going to Dodgers. Why? They offered him a giant pile of money like you would. He was playing for an organization that was going nowhere in a hurry. He took one look at Mike Trout and said, that's not going to be me. Mike Trout, you want to be loyal to this team? Fine. I don't have to be. Toodles. So there you go. Okay, Jonathan is trying to top Johnny T16 with writing crazy things. Ask Kevin Durant and the Warriors. That's why. Oh, I'm sure Kevin Durant really, really regrets going to the Warriors. Johnny T, go have some oatmeal. You're not making any sense. None. Bye. Doodles. Kershaw is going to come back. As I said, he has the one mountain he has to climb is to strike out 32 batters, and he'll be the number 20 in the all-time strikeout list and have his 2,000 strikeouts. Oh, by the way, Rōki Sasakiis is the next big Japanese pitcher who's coming to America as a free agent. And I'm telling you, he's going to go to the Dodgers. He may go to the Mets, but he should go to the Dodgers. And not because of this weird stripper analogy that Johnny said that literally makes no sense. And he knows it. He's just trying to be a little troll or whatnot. And that's fine. I get it. But this isn't like the rich getting richer and like, oh, it's so gluttonous. The Dodgers need starting pitching. Have you noticed that they won the World Series because Aaron Boone can't manage? That's the main reason why they won. And the Yankees forgot how to play defense. But they won the World Series without a starting rotation and having to use pitcher after pitcher after pitcher. And, Edgar Lane says it might be the Padres because of Yu Darvish. Yeah, and that would be a great move for the Padres. And I like the fact that the Padres and the Dodgers are getting to be chippy right now. They played each other in the postseason in 2020, in 2022, and now this year. It's getting fun, especially if I live here in Southern California. It's getting chippy. Okay, Jonathan, stop. You're writing really dumb things right now, and I'm not gonna read what you're saying. The Dodgers need him to be in that rotation because you have Yamamoto, or maybe Glasnow and Kershaw will Voltron a full season, but they can't play. They're not going to get a full season for both of them. Maybe Ohtani, maybe one of these kids who came up, but there's no guarantees in that. And with all the money they're spending right now, which is what a team is supposed to do, then they need to get a starting pitcher there. I am going to read this stupid thing that Jonathan, you're a great listener. You're writing dumb things today. I'm sorry. MLB should prevent Sasaki from joining Dodgers for competitive balance. I'm not, by the way, when I become a Dodger fan, I'm not a Dodger fan. I wanted them to beat the Yankees. I'm not a Dodger fan. I'm saying real things. Back to this. Competitive balance. We have had, since 2010, 18 different teams have won the pennant. We have had almost since the longest drought of a team for I just realized where it came from. Only one team in the last 10 years has not made the playoffs, and that's the Angels. But you're saying there's a competitive balance problem. 2 years ago, you had a World Series played with two teams that had lost 100 games the year before. The Royals lost 100 games last year. They made the playoffs this year. The Dodgers, with all the money they've spent, have bought 2 championships. So I'm sorry. I'm not listening to nonsense today. I'm not. And I think some teams should try to pounce on Sasaki. The Mets should try to pounce. The Red Sox should pounce. The Blue Jays should pounce. People need a good pitcher. But I have a feeling he's going to go to the Dodgers. Now, I brought up Kershaw and his strikeout total. And I want to bring something up because I've been talking a lot about this. And the fact of the matter of why we're not seeing starting pitchers going deep, and I've said it's economics. It's because owners don't want to pay ace pitchers. That's true. And it's nothing to do with sabermetrics. It has nothing to do with analytics. It has to do with how do we save money. That's the only reason why pitchers are being told to, they only go to the 6. They're not going to face their lineup the third time. That's the only reason. It's economics. But I also think a reason is the fact that you're seeing pitchers throwing more pitches and the inability for them to go deep in the game. And I do think there's a correlation between obviously throwing the ball 100 miles an hour casually, but also strikeouts. Because I want to show you the leaders of strikeouts and the leaders of innings pitched and how drastically both of those have changed in recent years. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here. With Robinhood Gold, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risks. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. FYI, Johnny T, 16, and Jonathan, I'm kind of messing with you, right? When I poke it, I'd say, like, yeah, you're being dumb, or I'm having fun. I've had a rough week. I'm sick. It's been a weird week. And remember, I'm on steroids. So I may be having some roid rage. But I want to bring this up because I was looking at the career leaders of strikeouts the other day when I was bringing up the fact that Clayton Kershaw is sitting on 2,968 strikeouts. And oddly, and I mentioned his old teammate, Zach Greinke, is sitting on 2,979. Zach Greinke needs to strike out 21 more batters, and he'll be the 20th pitcher in baseball history with 3,000 strikeouts. But Zach Greinke doesn't care. He's done. He retired. That's why I love Zach Greinke. He doesn't care about all that stuff. Kershaw, I have a feeling, even though he is, he basically is looking like the Big Labowski these days. Actually, no, he's looking like dude, not the Big Labowski. Yes, before a Labowski fan corrects me. That's fine. I'm sure he says I got those extra strikeouts left in me. But I went to baseballreference.com, the single greatest website in the history of the planet Earth. And I know when you look at the all-time leaders of a lot of pitching categories, you're going to see a lot of black and white photos because pitching used to be different. It used to be guys making 50 starts a year and, throwing, 25 complete games a year. But I looked at all of the all-time leaders in strikeouts, and almost all of them are pretty recent, from the second half of the 20th century to today, with one exception, Walter Johnson, who was kind of the exception and not the rule. Everyone else in that top 20, Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, Steve Carlton, Blyleven, Seaver, Sutton, Perry. Then you got Walter Johnson. Then you got Verlander, Scherzer, Maddox, Niekro, Jenkins, Martinez, Gibson, Schilling, Sabathia, Smoltz, Greinke. The only two pitchers in that group that I didn't see pitch either live or on TV were Bob Gibson and Walter Johnson. All of them, and Bob Gibson pitched in my lifetime. I had a rattle in my hand. And then after that, you have Bunning, who I didn't see pitch, Lolich, who pitched in my lifetime, and Mussina. They're all pretty modern pitchers throwing the strikeouts, career leaders in strikeouts. If you go to career leaders of innings pitched, it looks like a poster for Ellis Island with all the black and white pictures. In that group, you have the likes of, Cy Young. No one's going to come near Cy Young. He threw 7,000 innings. Pud Galvin. When we get to Pud Galvin, we know we're in a different era. But you have the likes of Walter Johnson, Grover Cleveland Alexander, Kid Nichols, Tim Keefe. You know Timmy. Bobby Matthews. Remember him? Mickey Welch. Oh, I got his card. Christy Mathewson. John Clarkson. And, you're all these old people whose grandchildren are old now. And yes, you do have the Necros and the Ryans and the Steve Carltons and the Seavers. The only ones who I really saw their prime were Maddox, Blyleven, and Clemens. So you used to pitch a lot more innings because they weren't flamethrowers back then. You're like, oh my God, this guy threw it. I think he threw it 90 miles an hour. Now they throw batting practice at 90 miles an hour. They weren't focused on the strikeout. They threw so many more innings and struck out so fewer batters. Because, and listen to me closely, they were pitching. And maybe that whole notion of, we're not trying to strike everyone out. We're trying to get outs. And, of course, we're living in a world where batters don't care if they strike out anymore, which is insane, especially since teams aren't paying attention to defense anymore. If teams aren't paying attention to defense anymore, they're not fundamentally sound. You should be trying to make contact as much as possible. You're only worried about trying to get the three, the three outcomes of the walk, the strikeout, and the home run. But why wouldn't you, as a pitcher, if you have a good defense behind you, try to get a ground ball? Throw a strike and get a ground ball. That's still an out. Doesn't take 4 or 5 pitches to get that out if you're worried about a pitch count. There has been a change in philosophy, and I do think that the team that goes counter to everyone else, that tightens up their defense, teaches fundamentals, which you're supposed to do with the freaking minors, and teaches their pitchers to get through the lineup a third time, and you don't have to blow them away. Figure out how to get them out. Stop worrying about the strikeout and trust your defense behind you. You're going to see pitchers go deeper. Someone posted something on Instagram. I'm not even talking about going back to the days of Pud Galvin. Going back to the 2010s. MLB Elites but a Twitter handle called Jolly _Olive, reminded us that in 2010, Game 1 of the NLDS, Roy Halladay threw a no-hitter for the Phillies. And Tim Lincecum, in his game against Atlanta, pitched a complete game shutout where he struck out 14 batters in a 2-hitter. Walked 1 batter. My dad was at that game. I'm not going back to Pud Galvin here. Just go back 1 decade. You saw the National League wildcard game in 2014, 15, and 16 were all won with complete games. In the 2012 American League Division Series, both were clinched with complete games. With Sabathia with the Yankees, Verlander with Detroit. Cole Hamels clinched a division series with a complete game. David Price won a do-or-die play-in game with a complete game. Wainwright threw a complete game to clinch the division series in 2013. Madison Bumgarner threw a complete game to clinch the wild card in 2014 and 2016. We're not talking about a long time ago here. We're talking about recent history where we're allowing pitchers to go deeper into games. Starters go deeper, the bullpen's not gassed. Bullpen is strong. You don't have to use the starter for a complete game. It's a symbiotic relationship, which we have moved because we're so focused on strikeouts. And we're seeing that in the final title. Anyway, Johnny T, you're the best. I'm just razzing you as well. I have to take shots. I know you're a Giant fan. That's why I'm teasing you. If Ohtani had signed with the San Francisco Giants, you would love him. And that's, by the way, that's another underrated aspect of baseball fandom. I talked about that the other day, that we got to find our common ground. This is also a way to get some of our aggression out. Johnny T and I could razz you, I could razz you, Jonathan, and we get that out, and we know in the end we're still on the same page, and it's not all roid rage. All right, this show went a little bit long. I don't care. It's Saturday morning. I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow, by the way, where I'm going to be going through the top 50 free agents, and I am going to be making my prediction of where each one is going to go. And then it's going to be fun to take that show, and then when spring training breaks, I can see how many of them I'm completely wrong about. And for those of you who say they shouldn't sign big players, I have two big ones going to LA. So anyway, follow us at Locked On MLB on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Hopped up on roids and talking about what Ohtani needs to do. And tell you, he's got a personality, and he did the right thing. Because apparently I'm a Dodger fan. I'm a Senators fan. This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. I got to go lift some weights. You can call me Sully.